In this single charity shop, I found Zelda games for the Wii, a selection of Mario games, including a Mario game on the Gamecube, even boxed N64 games. Who says charity shop hunting is dead in 2022?
Get pick up! Building the Gamecube! Rush trips! Not game hunting!
Hello again folks and welcome back to another Game Hunting Live episode. And this week we are going to prove once and for all that charity shop hunting for retro video games is not dead in 2022. In this series we will go anywhere we can to find retro and modern video games to add into the collection. We will go to pawn shops, charity shops, CX, car boots, anywhere we can add retro goodness into the collection. All while looking for stuff we can either trade into CX for in-store credit or sell on eBay for a profit to help build the collection even more. Just before we head off to the charity shops, I want to remind you folks, if you enjoy this kind of content, please hit that like button and please subscribe, as I put new videos out every Saturday live at 5, as well as bonus content throughout the week, and I really want you folks along for the ride. Now, let's get to those charity shops. We're starting our hunt this week in my local council recycling centre. So they take all kinds of donations here and sell them for charity. So you see here we have a couple of consoles, but they are untested. So you know I'm definitely going to be leaving those behind. We did have some drums, which I think were for the Xbox. It was quite tempting to pick these up. These can be quite good trading, but I did leave them behind for 20 quid. Over in the board game section, I found this book of spells for the PlayStation 3. It's worth noting that if this was complete, it would have come with a PlayStation Move controller. Unfortunately, this was missing for this, so I did leave it behind. If you've never played in these Wonder Book games, they are kind of a weird oddity, but kind of cool. They use a camera with your PlayStation 3 and the Move controllers, so you feel like you're part of the game. Speaking of games, let's head over to the media shelf. I did check through these DVDs as they were 10 for £1, but I couldn't really find anything that was worth flipping into CX. But if you pause here, if you see anything I've missed, please let me know. But there was a lot of games here. Unfortunately, these were all £1 each. I did have a good look for these PC games because there were some pretty big titles in here. And I thought some of these might have traded into CX for a little bit more. Unfortunately, I didn't. But I did find this kind of collector's edition of The Witcher for the PC. I'm a massive fan of this game. It didn't run fantastically on my PC when I played it years ago, but I wanted to add it into the collection because it's a really cool little collector's edition. And, you know, I'm just a massive fan of The Witcher, so any kind of Witcher-based memorabilia I'm probably going to pick up. I did check out this DS game. It was just What to Eat, that random cooking game, which is worth absolutely zero. Going down here, there was a couple of original Xbox games, more PC games, and a literal pile of Wii Fit games. I think this next pile of games had literally just been put out. You can see we have a couple of Dynasty Warriors games here. I did actually pick these up and take them straight into trading in CX. Also, looking through this pile, I thought Metal Gear Solid 2 may have traded in for a little bit more. It's actually surprising how little that trades in for at CX, as well as GTA San Andreas. You'd think this game would trade in for a little bit more, but again, it just doesn't trade in for very much money. Another pile of one game I was going to add to my collection, Dynasty Warriors 6 for the Xbox 360, which I think will be the first time I've played one of these games outside the PS2. Now this is more like it. Tony Hawk's 3 on the PlayStation 1. You'd think I'd be more excited, but it's empty. There's no discs, but there's a couple more PlayStation 1 games here, so let's hope if we look through these. There it is, there is the disc. It's just in another box. Hopefully this disc is in good condition, and it's good. Complete PS1 game for just £1. Back to the more traditional charity shops here, and a massive shelf of DVDs, topped off with quite a few PlayStation and Xbox 360 games. Now don't get me wrong, there's some really good titles here for the PlayStation 3. Sadly, I do have all of these in my collection already, or they're a little bit too overpriced to take into CX. Shout out to Need for Speed Most Wanted, probably the best Need for Speed I've played in a lot of years. Having a better look at these Xbox 360 games, we have this copy of GTA 4. Which is obvious to trade into CX. The only problem is they didn't take this when I took it in. Charity shops are so full of DVDs. I just kind of wonder how many more years they will be stocking these and how many more years they will just be sitting on the shelf. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. What will happen to all these DVDs clogging up our charity shops? Hiding below the charity shop shelf of DVDs was a couple of games including Star Wars Connect, which is still to this day one of the funniest failure games of all time. Loads of the kind of big hitter titles for the Xbox including Fighters, Destiny, but most of these were a little bit overpriced to be able to trade into CX, or I already had in the collection, so I passed up on these games. Quick check through the DS games, nothing here. Quick little hack here, if you collect PlayStation 1 games, these double CD cases are the exact ones they use for the big PlayStation 1 cases, so simply buy these CDs cheap at a charity shop and you've got yourself a brand new case for your PlayStation 1 game. Whilst checking through the DVD box sets looking to flip them into CX, I found this copy of the Best of ITV Wrestling for just £1.50, and as a massive wrestling fan, I really want to look into a little bit more of the history of British wrestling, so to pick up this double DVD set for £1.50 seemed like a good deal. Let me know in the comments down below if you watched this back in the day. I think a real problem with charity shops in 2022 is overpricing, such as this Rocky box set for £7.50. I think the average kind of person who shops in a charity shop is looking for cheap DVDs, either to add to their collection or to flip in CX. Unfortunately, this Mummy collection doesn't trade in for very much in CX, so I did leave this one behind. I did find this thing that I've never seen before, the Resident Evil Outbreak Pack. It's the first two films, love them or hate them. I'm a massive fan of anything from Resident Evil, was tempted to pick this up. Speaking of box sets, in the next charity shop I found this Monsters of Metal, the Ultimate Metal compilation DVD, and this looked super cool. If you didn't know, I'm a massive metal fan, and this just looks like an awesome way to watch loads of metal videos that I may not have even been on YouTube before, so I was definitely picking this up because DVDs were just 20p each. So you would think for 20p it'd be worth taking Ghostbusters 1 and 2 into CX, but no, you would be wrong. This trades into CX for 10p. For these two absolutely classic films, that is just beyond ridiculous. I did check the rest of the shelves, but sadly there was nothing else worth picking up. Now this is something I wasn't expecting to find in the charity shop today, a vintage Masters of the Universe figure from the 80s. This is Buzz Off, it is in really good condition, and this was just £1. There's also this more modern TMNT figure, but it's a bit of an ugly figure, and for the price I decided to leave this one behind. I have a nice selection of vintage figures, and being able to add one from a charity shop in 2022 is super cool. I'm always looking for video games I can trade into CX if I already have them in my collection, so this copy of Bully for the PlayStation 2 for just a couple of quid would have been a great one to trade in. For £3 CX credit, if I picked this up for £1, trading in for £3 would have been really good. The only problem being, it's the wrong disc. We have a copy of Spider-Man 3 in here instead, which is a real shame. This game may have only been £1.50, but it's just, I don't really know if I want a dance stage game for the PlayStation 1, but the thing is, it wasn't complete, it wasn't in the best condition. I'm sure it's a game I could easily pick up again. I did go through a couple of these other games, but again, they were missing the discs. This is kind of weird thing about charity shops. Sometimes games will just be missing a disc. I did check out this Superbike game. Unfortunately, it doesn't trade into much in CX, and this Bash Party also doesn't trade in for very much Wii Shovelware. Here we are at our final charity shop of the day, and this is one of my favourite charity shops in the world, but their pricing on Xbox One games seems a little bit off. $7.99 for Tomb Raider Definitive Edition does not seem like a very good price. Same can be said for Dying Light, again a fantastic game, but $7.99 is quite high. I think a lot of charity shops probably do themselves out of sales by charging too much for games. Don't get me wrong, $3.99 for Alien Isolation is a very good price, but at the end of the day, people are looking for a cheap pickup when they go into charity shops. It especially pains me the price of these final two PC CD-ROM games here. Jedi Knight is one of the best Star Wars games of all time, but these old school PC CD-ROM games I think you should be picking up for a couple of pounds. Like, I would have loved to have picked up that and Rebel Assault 2 to add them into the collection, but sometimes you just have to pass on items because the price is a little bit too high. But here is something I don't say very often. There is an amazing selection of Wii games in here. I am so used to seeing just pure shovelware for the Wii, but there were some amazing titles here, both to trade into CX and to add to the collection. It is getting harder and harder for me to find decent Wii games I don't have in the collection, so when I find one, I'm excited. One thing I will say for charity shops, so always check the condition of the discs. I would have thought this would have traded into CX for a bit more. It only trades in for £1.60 unfortunately, and even more unfortunately this disc was absolutely wrecked. It's hard to see that in the camera, but that Resident Evil 4 disc was grim. But this is a game I cannot believe I don't have for my Wii. Metroid Prime 3 Corruption, and also Kirby's Epic Yarn. These are two big hitters on the Wii, and the disc of Kirby was in absolutely pristine condition. I just can't believe I didn't have these in my collection. I do already have a copy of Manhunt 2, but it is sealed. This, though, is literally the last thing I expect to see in a charity shop in 2022. Boxed N64 games. Yes, this had seen better days, but just seeing this in a charity shop in 2022 is absolutely amazing. £15 is a fairly good price for this, but annoyingly, I didn't realise I don't have this in the collection. I thought I owned it, so I actually left it behind. Again, though, moving on from that painful revelation, there were some good Xbox One games. Sadly, again, these were a little bit priced. You can see here some decent Sonic titles. So we have both Sonic Unleashed for the Wii and Shadow the Hedgehog. These are both pretty decent titles. I do have both these in my collection. They were priced a little bit high to trade in, which is a shame. Same as hiding up here behind Michael Jackson was these two Zelda games on the Wii. Again, I already have these in my collection, but if you didn't, to find these in a charity shop in 2022 would just be an amazing find. Just finding one of these items on this single shelf would have been amazing, and that is until we get to the very top shelf where they have the absolute cream of the crop, and these were all in absolutely amazing condition. I was tempted to pick up that copy of Zelda because I have the standard edition, not the edition that comes with the CD. Also Mario Kart on the Wii, it just carries on. As I said, sadly these were a little bit high to trade in, but amazing finds. As I said, the absolute cream of the crop was on the top shelf. We had this copy of Mario Golf for the Gamecube. It is hard to find Gamecube games these days, and finding one in a charity shop in 2022 is amazing. And our final game here is Mario Galaxy on the Wii. I hope this video today just goes to show that charity shop hunting in 2022 for retro games is alive and well. Now, let's take it back to the games room and go through these absolutely amazing pickups for the charity shops. What an absolutely amazing live game hunt that was this week, and I cannot believe some of the stuff we saw. Yes, some of it was overpriced, but it just goes to show there's amazing retro and modern video games still out there in the charity shops. Now, let's get into those pickups. One of the big lessons I learned this year while out game hunting is to keep an eye out for DVD box sets. You can normally pick these up super cheap, and some of them trade in really well to CX. Unfortunately, we didn't find any to sell this week, but we did find a few for the collection, such as this Monsters of Metal box set. I'm a huge metal fan, and for 20p this is absolutely loaded with an incredible selection of music videos. That's not all though, I also picked up this Best of ITV Wrestling. I'm a massive wrestling fan, and this is something I haven't had much experience in, so we had to pick up this box set for just £1.50 is a real bargain. But inside this there's hiding something I was not expecting. So I was checking the discs of both of these, as I do. I didn't check them in the store, but when I got home, inside this one was this film cell from WrestleMania 3. Which is a super duper cool find. I don't really know where this came from. It is limited edition, it is numbered as well, and as a wrestling fan, this is an absolutely incredible bonus to find in this DVD box set. Of course, the main thing we are looking for when we're out game hunting is video games, but it does go to show you need to hunt everywhere. So I managed to pick up quite a few cheap games at my local council recycling plant, and the best thing is these still go to charity. All the money from this is still given to charity. So I had to pick up this copy of Dynasty Warriors 6. This is actually the first Dynasty Warriors game I would have played which isn't on the PlayStation 2, so it'll be quite interesting to see how this fares on the Xbox 360. It's not very often I will pick up a PC game, but I did pick up this copy of The Witcher for Games for Windows just because it kind of folds out, and I'm just a sucker for Witcher collectibles. I'm a massive fan of The Witcher, and to pick this up for £1, it's a cool one for the collection. This one though was an absolute no-brainer. Tony Hawk's 3 for the PlayStation 1. Yes, it might be the platinum copy of this, but it is complete and the disc is in amazing condition. The Tony Hawk's games are some of my favourite games on the PlayStation 1, and to pick this up for £1 in 2022 is pretty crazy. Of all the things we saw this week on our live game hunt, this was probably the item I was least expecting to see. Vintage Masters of the Universe figures, and this is in absolutely incredible condition for something that's pretty much as old as me. This figure might not command the highest price, but to pick this up for £1 is a really great find. One lesson you have to learn from today's episode is when you are out game hunting, remember what you have in your collection. Usually I use the Game Eye app to kind of keep a track of all the games I own in my collection so I don't buy doubles. I thought I had Shadows of the Empire boxed for the N64. I do have it loose and I do not have it boxed. It's not the end of the world as it is quite a common title to find, but to even find a boxed N64 game in a charity shop in 2022 is pretty crazy. But I did manage to pick up some amazing bits still for the collection, such as this copy of Kirby's Epic Yarn. I have got quite a big Wii collection, but it is getting harder and harder to find Wii games that I do not have. And this is a pretty good title. To pick this up for just $1.99 is a real good deal. And as I said in the episode, check the condition of your discs. And this one is in amazing condition. Here we have it then. The final item for this week's pickups is Metroid Free Corruption for the Wii. Now, I didn't check the disc for this game because it still has the security seal from Game. Yes, it might be a second-hand game, but that means this has probably been checked and it should be in pretty good condition. And I am amazed I did not have this for the Wii. Metroid and Kirby are both big hitters for the Wii, and these are the kind of games that I try and aim for, the first-party Nintendo games, as these are the games in the years to come which will get more expensive. And picking both this Metroid and Kirby game up for just $1.99 in a charity shop in 2022 is the way to build a gaming collection. So there we have it then, folks. I just hope that proved to you this week that retro game hunting is still alive and well in 2022, and you can still find the deals and the bargains and the stock in these charity shops. This is what it's all about, is building the collection slowly over time. All weeks can't be like this, but trust me, the bargain's still out there. You just need to be searching those charity shops. I hope you enjoyed this week's video. Thanks for watching. Hit that like button, subscribe, and as always, keep playing the game. See y'all soon.